All right. You guys are awesome. All right, who's ready to have some fun? Woo! Nice. This is a lively good group already. All right. Well, here's the deal. I could have an experience. So who wants to have an actual experience? Woo! There we go. Okay. So we're gonna mix it up. It's gonna be very interactive. And as we go through this process, I want you just to have your experience, right? So your experience may be very different than the person next to you, and that's awesome. And as we're going through this process, I'm going to ask everybody to keep 3 commitments. And these 3 commitments are the key to leading from your heart. So it's not just for this moment, but to continue moving forward. So the first commitment is to be respectful. As we're going through this process, being respectful to ourselves and others, that's when we feel worthy or of worth. So recognize if throughout this process, if you have thoughts that are not respectful. That could be like, oh, I can't do that, or that's too uncomfortable, or, oh, what's wrong with that guy, right? That's okay. If they came up, if you have thoughts that are not respectful, just recognize them and realize that when we're not respectful, it doesn't feel good. The second commitment is just be your best and accept the best of everyone around us. So everybody in here is just, we're at where we're at. Our best is all we can really do. So we're going to just be our best. And then really the third commitment is to be present. Be here. Here's where I am. Here's what I'm experiencing. And so by raise of hands, can we all agree to keep those 3 commitments as we go through this process? Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to put myself out there. I really love what was shared before, hearing your story and your experience and really understanding what you were experiencing, because we were able to understand and learn from his experience about what we're experiencing. So I'm going to put myself out there as well, which I think that was amazing what you did. You really shared his heart. Let's give him a big round of applause for being able to share his heart. That's why it was impactful. You were able to see his heart. So I'm going to put myself out there. I'm gonna dance for you guys. Woo! Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put myself out there because I want to show what it's like to get, when we're in our head, this back part of our brain, we protect ourselves, right? So I was like, what could I do to put myself out there? Not protecting myself at all. Out of my head, thinking, not worried about, what are they going to think about me? What if I do a weird dance move? What if people think I'm weird or awkward? And just put myself out there. So when we're in our head, we protect. It's this back part of our brain. When we are in our heart, it's all about progression. It's about progress, about putting ourselves out there. When we're in our heart, we're using the full brain, this left and right brain, our neocortex. It's not just lovey-dovey. It's not just emotional. When we're in our heart, it's all about figuring out the way to move forward. So I'm going to dance for you guys, and I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to really put myself out there, and I'm going to ask you guys to do the same. You've committed to be your best. So if I do a dance move that's just like amazing, just go. I can't do a head spin. But even if it's not a head spin, something amazing, I want you to go crazy. Woo! Yeah! Awesome! If it's a little bit weird, maybe even awkward, like you're like, don't do that. Dude, do not stop. Even if it's that same response. Woo! Yeah! Okay, just give it to me. That way your neighbor's not like, don't encourage that. Just same response. So whatever your best is. So everybody stand up. So we're going to hit the music here and start clapping with me. Ready? Right? Oh, gotta get to the back aisle. Okay. Oh yeah. All right. Awesome. Okay. Keep standing up. Keep standing. This is part of the interaction right here. So, full permission to be honest here. Full permission. How many of you were kind of like, what's going on? Awesome. Anyone actually feel a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that I was like yelling, cheer for me, and dancing at you? Anyone a little awkward? A little bit. Anyone embarrassed in my behalf? You're like embarrassed for me. It's as if you were up here dancing. You're like, oh, this is so weird. So I want you just to get present to what you're experiencing. And I'm going to repeat. Experience is what we think, and those thoughts determine what we feel, and then what we do. So everybody had a different experience. Some of you are like, yeah! Some of you are like, this is weird. And that was your experience. Yours wasn't right or wrong or better or worse. Like, that was your experience. And I want you to recognize, was your experience from your head? Did your head say, protect yourself? Really? That's okay. Your head might have been like, guy is dancing in front of us, yelling, making me clap and cheer. Ah! This is scary. Right? And that's okay. For example, if I gave you the opportunity to come up and dance in front of everybody, what would your head start to say? Right? This back part, it's there to protect, right? Would that be scary to have to come up and dance in front of a ton of people? Yeah. What would be some of the thoughts that would come up in your head?
Hell no.
Yeah. What else? I don't know what to do. Like, what would I do? Are any of you actually feeling those emotions of uncomfortableness and even embarrassed, even though I'm just talking about it? Anyone feel those? A little bit, whatever it may be. I want you to recognize those feelings. That's what you're feeling, that's what you're experiencing. So, recognize what that feels like if you're in your head right now. And then what I want you to do in a moment, we're going to turn on the music again. And I want you just to choose to go right out of that head and right into your heart to express yourself. I want you to get as many high fives from as many people as you possibly can. On your marks, get set, go. Get as many high fives as you possibly can. Come on, come on. Move around, move around. Get around the room. Yes, get around the room. Yes, oh yeah, there we go. Work those cards. There we go. Woo. Yes, yes, yes. Woo, woo. Yes, woo. All right, all right. All right, stay where you're at. Stay where you're at. Next one is chicken wings. Chicken wings. This is what a chicken wing looks like. You go up to them and you go. And by the way, chicken wings are not flying elbows, right? I mean, gentlemen, this is not like, hey, chicken wings, you have to be respectful. Respect your neighbor. On your marks, get set, go for it. Get some chicken wings. All right, stop where you're at right there. Okay, last one. As you're walking back to your seat, give them a high five, point at them right in the face and say, you rock. As you walk back to your seat, point at them in the face and say, you rock. You rock. All right, good job, good job. Back to those seats, back to those seats. Whew. That was awesome. Okay. So I love it. I talk about coming and doing something uncomfortable in front of a lot of people, and it's like, oh no. That would be awkward. That would be uncomfortable. Because to go up in front of other people, it's like our head says, protect yourself. Come back to me. You guys are still having fun. It's good. It's good. But then I say, give high fives and chicken wings, and then it's like, let's do this, right? We transform. I wanted you to get from that. We have so many opportunities to choose to be in our hearts that we don't, because we just think, that's not me. I can't do that, or I've had this experience, or I've never done that, versus saying, you know what? We get to choose. And sometimes it's a really hard choice, and sometimes you have to work up and build it. But other times, just choosing. It's like, I feel uncomfortable to boom. I'm like a chicken in the back of KFC trying to get away from the, anyways. You're just like, let's do this, right? Whatever. You're like, shift. Where is it that you get in your head? I want you to recognize, what are the experiences that trigger that, where you get into your head and you protect? Where you break those 3 commitments, where you start to have thoughts that are not respectful, that are not your best. I just want you to recognize there's things that happen that trigger you to go into your head. And what I'm going to show you today and talk about, and really, hopefully you'll have a clear vision of, when this happens, I would normally go into my head and protect. But I'm going to choose not to, because I don't have to. And I don't care if it's, ever walk down the hall and it's just you and one other person, and you start to get all uncomfortable. It's like, what am I going to do? It doesn't matter if it's like an old lady. It's not like she's going to hurt you. Like she might say, like, what? It doesn't matter. You get in your head. Or a guy comes up and says, you might dance in front of the room. And you're like, no. Right? We all have these experiences where it's when we get into our head, it's as if the other person is like a velociraptor. It's like we're in danger. It's like they're going to be like, right? It's like we're in actual danger. Some of you, when I said dance in front of other people, felt like I was a velociraptor. You're like, that guy's a velociraptor. I had no idea. It feels like that. So let's recognize that, because here's the key thing. When we recognize when we're in our head, we can choose something different. So today I'm going to really talk about how to play the game a new way. Wow, that came interesting out on that slide. That worked out pretty cool. However you've been playing the game of your life, I'm going to show you a way to play a different way, a new way. And if it's been challenging, and if you're like, I've been playing it so long this way, I don't know if I can, I'm here to say there is another way. There's a way to play from your heart. So we talked about these 3 commitments. When we are being respectful, we feel worthy. Start recognizing throughout tonight, what circumstances do I start to have thoughts that are not respectful? When you're not respectful, how does that feel to yourself or others? How's that feel? It's toxic. It feels horrible. And we're going to talk about why it is. And when you're being your best, you feel accepted, and we're going to talk about being present. So I'm going to do a little bit of information right here, help understand, and then we'll get into a little bit more interactive stuff. But there's 3 gifts that each of us have. The first gift that we have is the ability to be present, the ability to choose, and this changed on the PowerPoint. See that? That's supposed to be head on this side, heart on this side, right? But or conscience as our compass. So I want to describe what happens when we have an experience where we're in our head, and what happens with our conscience. Has anyone ever drinking milk that has gone bad?
Wait, what?
Have you ever had milk that's gone bad?
Oh, yeah. Not for long.
Okay, everybody, and here's what we're going to do. My style is so interactive that once we start going, it's like everybody keeps talking. So whenever there's too much talking I need to bring back, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go, and you guys do the same back. You go, and then silence. Ready? We'll try it again. You guys are good. You guys are good. Awesome. So here's the deal. Our conscience is like a compass. It's this internal guide. Another way to describe our conscience, it's like our 5 senses. Our 5 senses have 2 purposes. One is to protect us, and the other is to progress us. So if I drink milk that's gone bad, my sense of taste will say,
Stop drinking the milk. Spit it out.
now, right? My sense of sight will look at the milk and say, it's chunky. Is this cottage cheese? No. Okay, stop. Do not drink this. It will smell bad. My senses are there to protect me. When I have a thought that is not respectful to myself, my conscience protects me. It sends me a message through my feelings telling me, change, don't do this. So if I have a thought about myself that, man, you are such a loser, every time I have that thought, it's going to feel bad. Because every time my conscience is trying to tell me, don't have that thought. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. Stop it. The problem is if we have that thought and then think, oh, it must be true. Oh, I must be a loser. I must be an idiot. I must be worthless. Have you ever had a drink of milk that's gone bad and thought to yourself, I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. I no longer can process milk, which, pretty much makes you a loser. No, you say, the milk's bad. Someone didn't throw away the milk. The milk's bad. What if your whole life, every time you've had thoughts that are not respectful, it feels horrible? What if every time that happened, your conscience was just telling you that thought is not healthy? This is not who you are. It was never saying that you're broken or not enough or less than. It was saying, don't drink this milk, basically. Every time you have a thought that's not respectful. It happens all the time. When I ask people, how often are you in the head? The most common response is like, all the time. Right? That's it. We just live there. We constantly have thoughts that are not respectful. We're not accepting our best. And I want to share some people in my life who are super important to me. These are my kids. Oh, that is the very appropriate response. Thank you very much. I want to tell you a story about them and how it relates to what we're experiencing. So my kids, this is Johnny and Evelyn, and when they were right about this age, they were playing together, and there was a big beanbag right next to his couch, and Johnny was throwing Evelyn on the beanbag. They were having a ball. It was like, yeah! They're like just over and over, like having the time of their life. They were having so much fun. Me and my wife were in the room, we're just talking, and all of a sudden he throws her again, and then we hear this. And me and my wife, it was so loud, we freaked out. We go, oh! We run over Evelyn. Evelyn, are you okay? She's like, Johnny runs out of the room. It just bright red, runs out of the room, and is just crying, Evelyn, are you okay? Are you okay? What happened? Evelyn, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. We're like, oh, okay. It just sounded really loud. Like, this happens like every day. It wasn't like, they get hurt, but it sounded so loud because it hit this like hollow couch. It was like, oh. So we're like, oh, okay, good, she's fine. So I go over to Johnny, and I kneel, I kind of lean down to him and say, hey, Johnny, Evelyn's okay. She's not even hurt anymore. She stopped crying like right after you left. And he turns to me and says, Dad, it's not okay. I'm a loser. I said, Johnny, you're not a loser. You hurt your sister. It was an accident. Johnny, you're not a loser. He's like, Dad, I am a loser. And he felt that to his core. Johnny feels deeply. He is a gift, and he would probably also say a curse. He feels deeply. And he felt that. And so rather than trying to convince him he wasn't a loser, I let him feel that, because I understand if a feeling is a message, that's all that our feelings are. They're just trying to tell us a message. And he thought the feeling was telling him that he's a loser. So he ran off. He felt that emotion. Kids do this. They feel it, and then they have permission to feel their emotions, let them go, and then choose something different. A few minutes later, he came back to me and said, Dad, I know I'm not a loser. I didn't mean to hurt Evelyn. and he ran off and played with Evelyn. He worked it out himself. I didn't have to convince him. He just worked it out. The problem is we've all had experiences where a strong emotion has been a part of that. We have a thought, I'm a loser, I'm worthless, I'm nothing, I'm whatever it is. The strong emotion is telling us change that thought. This is not true. It's not telling us that it's true. No one would ever look at Johnny and Evelyn and say, yeah, that kid's a loser. No, you would never say that. It's horrible. I hate even saying it out loud. But with ourselves, we've told ourselves it so many times. And everyone's thoughts that trigger your feelings might be different, right? Yours might be different than the person next to you. But the fact is, that feeling is telling you this is not for you. So if you were to go back and look at your life, you'd recognize I've had experiences that I just didn't understand. If my five senses didn't work, I would have a very confusing life. I would bump into things. I couldn't see things. Taste, I wouldn't know what to eat or not to eat. Like, it'd be confusing. So if your sense of conscience, if you haven't understood what the message are telling you, it makes sense that you might have had a lot of pain and tried to not feel those emotions. Because emotions, if they're painful and if you believe they are telling you you're worthless, then why not try not to feel them? But if the feeling is just telling you you are actually of value, you are of worth, protect yourself. The reason my body, tells me to not punch hurt my finger or burn my finger or drink milk that's gone bad is because it's saying protect your body. It's valuable. And so all of us. So this is another one of my little cuties. And when you look into eyes like that, you know they are worthy, right? You say, oh, they're worthy. They are valuable. And if you leave with one thing, leave with this. Your worth doesn't fluctuate. You can't earn your worth. Worthy. Yes, food on your face, can't even go to the bathroom by yourself. I have to take care of you completely. Your worth you don't produce your worth. They don't earn their worth. They are worthy. We know that as little babies. Like, you are worthy, you are of worth. You're worthy of respect. Your best is accepted. The only difference between us and a baby this age is we've had experiences where we haven't understood our experience. That's it. We haven't understood what happened to us. We haven't understood that our thoughts were not healthy, and so it didn't feel good. And for me, this is me at the age that I started to get into my head and not just feel worthy because I was. Because I started to realize I can't spell, and I'm not attractive like my best friend. All the girls don't like me. I started to believe all these things. So we all have this experience where we go from feeling worthy completely and start to change. And I get everybody has their own story and your experiences, and you might have very specific experience where someone told you, even told you you're not worthy, or through their actions told you that. Or you've made mistakes and feel like, you know what, I'm not worthy. But each of us is worthy of respect, no matter what we've done or not done. We're worthy of being loved because we're no different than this when we were at this age. So here's what I just want you to take a moment and think. What would that be like if from now on, every time I had that a horrible feeling, I thought to myself, ooh, what I'm thinking is not respectful. What if that was the shift? Ooh, that doesn't feel good. That's unhealthy. What is that thought? And started to choose a new way of thinking. So I want you to close your eyes for just a second and think about that. What would that be like to actually start to retrain this sense of conscience to say, yeah, this thought doesn't feel good. Like what would be a new thought? I'm just going to walk through while you're closing your eyes. It could be as simple as this. You have an experience with somebody you love, and it's a painful interaction. You get in your head, they get in their heads, right? And I'm not saying that when we choose to get in our head, and that's normal. We're human beings. We make mistakes, right? But to recognize, when they said that to me, I started to think, I'm not wrong, or you're the worst. And that felt horrible. So what did I do? I yelled at them, right? But to recognize, to be able to step back and say, you know what? Next time I'm going to think, okay, I'm in my head right now. I wonder what they're experiencing. How's that feel? I feel like I have a choice. What am I going to do? And start to have that process where we get to choose over and over and over again. So here's what we're going to do. Everybody open your eyes. Open your eyes. We're going to kind of end this with an experience. Hopefully the experience that we had at the very beginning, just you can see I get to choose. And I hope you walk away with starting to look at, wait, where am I in my head? Where am I choosing to feel these, and feeling these feelings that are unhealthy? And start just in one area. Because that's what selects with, okay, something's wrong with me, I'm broken, which is not the case. So the experience we're going to have is this. I told you what it would be like to actually come up and dance in front of everybody. So I'm going to give you the opportunity. Nobody's going to have to do anything. But if you choose to, you're going to have a chance to dance in front of everybody. But you're not going to do some crazy, you don't have to do what I did. We're going to play follow the leader. Because sometimes the first step to feeling worthy and accepted is just trusting somebody who says, you know what? You're worthy. Like, I believe in you. And you're going to say, like, you know what? I'm going to follow you. I'm going to follow the leader. I'm not sure if it's true yet, but I'm going to believe it. So if you're not sure if you are worthy or of worth, and you don't, or maybe you do have people telling you that. But hopefully, if you can, you don't know me. I mean, we've talked for a moment here. But my experience is, and I know the truth is, that you are worthy. You are worthy. And I get, everybody's had different experiences. So, and your experience is your experience. But we are not our experiences. They're a part of us. They're a part of us like our hair color, our eye color. They are a part of us because they do form us. But just because I've experienced something, that doesn't mean that that's what it's like forever. And that perfect example of the whole story before. Like, this is what I've experienced, but this is what I'm choosing to experience now. So, we're going to, in a moment, I'm going to turn on some music. And I want you to have some courage to come on up and pick a very simple dance move. If your head's like, I don't know what to do, well then do something like this. Right? That's a dance move. Right? You're not sure what to do? Do that. Like, everything works. You're going to come up, do a simple dance move, and then everybody in the audience is just going to follow you exactly. It's just Big Simon Says. So everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. We're gonna turn on the second song right now. And I'm going to turn this off if I can. Thank you. All right, follow me exactly. And then come on up. I'll tell you when to come on up. So follow me exactly. See, I told you, very simple dance move. Okay, we're going to get complex. We're going to add the shoulders. Don't look at your neighbors. A little bit. Okay. And then the legs. All right, come on up. Who wants to come on up? Come on. All right, right here, right here. First one right here. Simple dance move. Oh, yes. Feel that, feel that. All right, good job. Who's next? Come on up, come on up. A lot can come up at once. Come up, a lot at once. Right here, right here. Oh, yeah. We got good moves going on out here. All right, right here, right here. Come on up, come on up. A lot at once. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice, good job right there. Come on up. Who's up? Who's up? Right here. Yeah, keep making it rain. All right, come on up, come on up, come on up. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Come on up, good job, good job. Come on up, come on up. Oh yeah. Woo! She's got a sound too. Oh. Awesome, awesome. Come on up, 4 or 5 at a time. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be one at a time. Everybody come on up. right here, right here. Whoa! Do not try that at home. Do not try that. Do not try that at home. Do not. That was amazing. Okay, come on up. Who else? Who wants to go? All right. Good job. Good job. Oh yeah. Classic. Classic. All right. Come on, last few. Last few. Who's ready? Oh yeah. Come on.
All right, everybody's got a copy. You got a copy.
Everybody's got to copy this. It's got to be simple enough that everybody. On the chair, on the chair. Awesome. All right, give it up for everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good job, good job. Okay, in closing. Look at what you chose. You had this random guy tell you to dance and you did it. You expressed yourself. It might have been awkward. Good job. So, here's my challenge. Next time you have it doesn't feel right, feels icky, you feel pain, a painful emotion, just tell yourself, oh, I'm in my head. Nothing is wrong with me. I'm not broken. Everybody is having the same experience. We all think we're all having the one, I'm feeling this. We're all feeling the same stuff. We might have different experiences, things that happen. We're having a very similar experience. And I know, my guess is everybody in this room has people in their life, especially if you know any little kids, they're like, they are worthy. They are worthy. We don't question it. You're the same. You're having your experience. No matter what you've experienced, you can have a new experience. You can. Because now you understand what you're experiencing, understanding those emotions. So, thank you so much for having me. You guys are awesome. You guys really brought it today. Give everybody, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
So one more round of applause.
Oh, I guess I'm staying up. I'm back.
You're only here for another 3 hours, so they're good. So you're going to answer questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand. I'll let the mic to you. You can ask it, and then he'll answer it. Awesome. Pretty simple. Who's got a question?
What's the best way to get out of your head, like on the spot?
Awesome.
So if you don't have time to process everything, you just like put it on blast, like right on the spot. How do you?
So that's a great question. First thing is, if you just know, oh, I'm in my head right now, that's the first step. When you don't know you're in your head, then you don't, it's I don't have a choice, right? If someone comes up to you and is like, dude, why'd you do that? And you're like, versus like, oh, I'm in my head right now, you're coming at me. Like, then you have a choice. And part of it is giving yourself permission to be okay with being in your head. Nothing's wrong with you. Like, if someone's a jerk to you and you're mad about it, like, yeah. But if you stay there, you get there. So, first thing, just recognize it. And then, just like we did, you went from, like, I don't know if I want to dance in front of people. Like, you ran, like, I don't know if that was your first thought. Were you like, I don't know if I want to dance in front of people when I was like doing that?
Kind of at first, yeah.
Yeah, and then you ran out, you're like, dude, let's do this, right? So, it's just that if you get good at choosing. Oh wait, I'm choosing my head right now. Okay, I can choose something different. That's a great question, because that's going to happen all the time. It's like, something happens, and you get better and better at it. So, awesome. Give me a round of applause. It's a great question.
I was just curious if, I assume you're related to Stephen R.
Yeah.
And did he inspire you to write this?
Yeah, so when I was 17, I read Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I grew up on it, and we talked about it as a family, but I read it and thought to myself, wow, I want to do that. And at 17, I was very in my heart. I just kind of thought, hey, I can do whatever I want. It was actually a little bit, there were stages of my life where it was super in my head, and then I get my heart. And at that stage, I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so I kind of just started this process of figuring out what would I do, and then started creating that process. And it's just been literally thousands of experiences for me, working myself from my head to my heart over and over and over to, you know.
You'd be proud of me.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah!
Does anybody else have a question? Dan?
This kind of touches on that getting right out of your head, and I'm just wondering, as you're talking about those phases fluctuate, like, it sounds like you've had a lot of passion, creativity, and those kind of things when you were in your heart.
Yeah.
Do you feel that like a weird shift? Like, do you notice it in your heart when you're starting to shift back to the mind? Because it's, that idea of like being mindful and then you realize that you're overthinking, and it's like trying not to think about an elephant type of thing.
Yeah.
It's just, do you have ideas or tips for if you're in that cycle of keeping yourself in that heart area?
Awesome. Great question. That's like a deep question. There's a lot I could go. So I don't know if I covered all of it. And by the way, his running is amazing. Right? Mike running. Right? Amazing. Yeah. So, wow, a lot of ways to go from there. But so I'll back up and just a little bit more clarity on. So when we are in our head, we are in this back part that protects. And when it's super unhealthy, we know we're in our head. It's like super obvious, right? It's like, I'm mad at you, or I'm mad at myself. It looks super obvious. Often it's very subtle though. It's like, I've just always done this. Like, why do you talk that way or do that? Just because I do. And so when it's very subtle, it's harder to recognize how to get out of that. But the key to getting out of our head, and this goes actually along with this, is expressing what your feelings. Expressing it. So if I'm in my head, if I have a healthy way to express those feelings, then I can actually see them, and they're like, oh, that's what's going on. And then I can choose something different. So this kind of peaks and valleys, the main thing I do is on a daily basis, I'm just trying to express what I feel. So and anyone who's interested, I have a sheet for you just to take. It's a summary of what we talked about and how to apply this. So I have some of those for everybody. But it's just a tool to basically express it. Like when I'm in my head, I just pull out a pen and a paper and I express it. So if I'm really in my head, I want to be mad. I want to feel it and get it out. I love wood chopping. Like when you're talking about it, I'm like, dude, I totally get that. If you're in your head, go chop that wood. And then once you feel that, then you can once you felt that, you can get back into your heart. And so, I don't know if I fully, did I answer it? Okay, because there's so much, there's a really deep question, so I could go a lot of different ways, so thank you for that question. But yeah, awesome.
Have you found the triggers pushing your head have changed, or they're the same over time? That you recognize them and you're able to kind of not eliminate them, but they don't trigger you anymore, and then new ones have popped up, or how's that work?
Yeah. So for example, speaking wise, I had the thought of doing an interactive experience and dancing or doing something like that, and I would get so in my head, right? I used to be like, oh, what are they going to think about me? And what if they hate me? Like I used to do that, and now that I've done it enough, my experience is it's going to work out. Some people actually don't like it, and that's okay. But you just keep progressing to where it's no longer a trigger. Like things that are no longer a trigger for me that used to be. And it really comes down to, and this is the hardest part to grasp until you just do this process over and over, is your conscience is your mentor. This internal compass, that's what I'm trying to listen to. I'm trying to figure out, where do I go from here? I'm trying to listen to my head that protects me, my heart, using my brain, but I'm really trying this internal compass, figuring out where do I go next. And so less and less, I'm not triggered by the same things because they don't bring up emotion anymore, right? If someone were to say, I hated your speech and you're the worst, I'd be like, oh, okay. I could be in my heart about it where normal, I would be out for weeks. I'd be like, do I want to speak? Maybe I'm a word, but it no longer is that. So you get better and better at doing this, and it's just with really repetitions. So yeah, great question, awesome. Give them a big round of applause. Hey.
So when you're in a situation when you feel like you just messed up an opportunity or whatever, how do you get out of
Awesome. So the reality is sometimes our best is terrible. Like it's not good. Does that make sense? Like some of you might be thinking, well, my best is horrible. Like where I'm at right now, it's unhealthy and I'm making poor choices and we're all doing that at our own level. And the way to get out of that is to just realize, here is where I'm at. Feel the emotions without turning them on to yourself. So when I'm really in my head, I pull out a pen and paper, I'll go up in the mountains, and I'll be mad. I'll be like, why did you do that? Like, what are you thinking? You're such, I feel all the pain and emotion, but I know how to let go of it at the end to where then I can, at the same side, go into my heart and say, okay, well, what's the truth? Well, the truth is, like, I'm really struggling, and I'm trying my best, and this is what I want to do differently, and here's what I can try. So I give myself that permission to be where I'm at, which is that second commitment, accept my best. But it really comes with time, and hopefully, if you can find even one person in your life who gives you that permission to be yourself, right? Gives you permission to express the head side and help you then see the heart side. If you have one person that can do that, that makes all the difference because you can continue to work through it. But is that any other questions? Any follow-up questions from that? Did that answer?
You
Awesome.
answered it.
Awesome. Very good.
How do you quit hustling for your self-worth?
Dude, I love that you use that language. That is amazing. For me, so just going through this process a lot, but I know that I am worthy.